Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right into a really big question today. As artificial intelligence starts to flood our classrooms, who on earth is teaching the teachers? Let's dive into a fascinating case study that tries to answer just that.
Okay, so the paper we're breaking down is called Generative AI in an Educational Technology Course for Pre-Service Mechanical Engineering Educators, a case study. And this research comes to us from Maria Moundrito and Nikolaos Matsakousis at the School of Pedagogical and Technological Education in Greece.
You know, this paper gets right to the heart of a fundamental challenge. Think about it. AI tools like ChatGPT are becoming as common as calculators. But that's created this huge gap. We have to figure out how to prepare our educators to use these things effectively, critically, and safely. Which brings us right back to that question. Who is teaching the teachers? AI isn't some far-off concept anymore. It's here. It's in the classroom right now. And its arrival has created this incredibly urgent need for a completely new kind of training for the people at the front of that room.
So you can imagine the challenge for a teacher today, right? Especially in a field like STEM. It's just not enough anymore to know about AI. No, they have to actually model how to use it for their students. And that means developing real hands-on skills, treating AI like a cognitive tool, something that can actually enhance thinking. And that's going to take a whole new playbook, one that really blends technology, teaching methods, and of course, the actual subject matter.
So how do you even begin to build that kind of training? Well, what's so cool about this study is that the researchers didn't just sit around and theorize about it, they actually did it. They took an existing university course for future teachers and completely redesigned it around this very challenge.
And this wasn't some abstract laboratory setting. This was a real-world classroom. Specifically, a university course with 31 students in Athens, Greece, all of them on their way to becoming mechanical engineering teachers. I mean, these are literally the people who are going to be shaping the next generation of engineers.
So what did this transformation actually look like? Well, the before picture was a course focused on more, traditional educational tech. In the after version, the researchers added a brand new foundational lesson all about Gen AI, and they started weaving AI tools directly into the existing class projects, like using them to brainstorm or help design educational websites. Now, the whole course was built on this really powerful framework called learning by design. And the idea is pretty simple. You learn best by doing. So these student teachers weren't just sitting back and listening to lectures. Nope. They were hands-on, working in groups, actively building their own tech-based teaching tools to solve real-world problems. Okay, so the stage is set, the experiment is running, but what actually happened when these future teachers got their hands on this AI? Let's explore what they really experienced and what they discovered. This quote from a student, wow, it just says it all. They found out pretty quickly that AI is not a magic bullet. They ran smack into its limitations. They found that the outputs could be just plain inaccurate or that they felt, in their words, fake. It also really struggled with complex stuff like translation into Greek. And you could see this really smart, balanced perspective across all their tasks. Take lesson plans. On one hand, the AI was incredibly fast and fantastic for just brainstorming initial ideas. But on the other hand, the results were often way too simplistic and absolutely required an expert's eye to check for accuracy and catch errors.
And it was the exact same story when it came to creating images. Sure, the AI could generate some really eye-catching visuals in a snap, but it often just missed the mark, spitting out irrelevant pictures or completely failing to create the specific technical illustrations they needed for an engineering class.
So, after all this hands-on work, what was the upshot in their actual projects? Well, this might be the most telling number of all. Only 36%, that's just 4 out of the 11 student groups, actually chose to use generative AI in their final assignments. And that tells you something huge, right? Just teaching someone how to use a tool doesn't guarantee they'll find it's the best tool for the job.
So we've heard the stories, the experiences, but did the course make a measurable difference in how these students actually think about AI? Let's switch gears and look at the hard data to see if there was a real shift in their perception. This is the key question, isn't it? Did this hands-on, critical approach lead them to a deeper, more nuanced understanding of these incredibly powerful new tools? The answer is a pretty clear yes. Take a look here. Before the course, when students were asked to rate their knowledge of Gen AI, the average score was just 2.55 out of 5. But after the course, that number jumped all the way to 3.65. I mean, that is a significant increase in their self-reported understanding. And that new confidence translated directly to their attitudes.
After the course, the students were much more likely to believe AI could support them in their studies and that it was going to be really important for their future careers. They showed what the researchers perfectly called cautious optimism. They see the potential, but they're not naive about its flaws.
So, what's the final verdict from this whole experiment? It all seems to boil down to one simple but absolutely crucial distinction. AI is an assistant, not a replacement.
Let's break that down. Where does AI excel? It's great for the front-end stuff, brainstorming, getting a first draft out, creating some quick multimedia. It saves time. But where does it falter? Well, anywhere that requires real expertise and nuance. It struggles with getting the context right, producing specialized content, and it's simply not reliable without a human expert guiding and correcting it.
And this brings us to what might be the most crucial point of the entire paper. There is absolutely no substitute for hands-on experience. It's the only way for future educators to build both the confidence to use these tools and, more importantly, the critical judgment to know when and how to use them, and when to just put them aside.
Ultimately, this research suggests AI is becoming a fundamental part of the educational toolkit, kind of like a textbook and a research assistant all rolled into one. So the real question for all of us isn't if we should be teaching with it. That ship has sailed. The question is how. This study was one fantastic experiment, and the big question it leaves us with is, what's the next one?